Welcome to The Cauldron, a podcast hosted by Ed Bolden-Grear, the creator of Ravens Vail. In each episode, Ed will have free-flowing conversations about horror, life, culture, and personal growth. Expect to hear from storytellers, authors, horror experts, life gurus, thought leaders, and influencers. The Cauldron is a place where concoctions of a lot of ideas are brewed down to potions that are sometimes important and useful, sometimes eccentric and bizarre, but always just what you need. The Cauldron podcast may contain explicit language and thematic elements not suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Well, hey there, family. Welcome back to the Ravens Vail Cauldron Podcast, where the whispers of ancient wisdom mingle with the warmth of our close-knit community as we gather around the mystical flames. Here in this sanctuary of sorcery, we stoke the embers of curiosity and ignite the fires of imagination. I'm your host, Ed Bolden-Grear, and I'm joined by my partner in the paradoxical, Jacob Garner, a.k.a. Frady Cat.
Hello, everyone.
Together, we're going to brew up a concoction of topics that resonate with the soul and spark the imagination.
Hey, family. Welcome back to another electrifying episode of the Ravens Vail Cauldron Podcast. Today's episode is all about Appalachian Horror Fest 2024, which took place on Saturday, October the 12th at Central Cinema in Knoxville, Tennessee. We're going to talk about some of the major highlights, unforgettable performances, and the spooky atmosphere that made this year's event truly exceptional. So, as the cauldron simmers and the night grows darker, sit back, relax, and let the magic unfold.
Hey, Jacob, how you doing, man?
I'm here. I'm
You're
here,
here.
man. I'm here.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm a little tired. It's been this month, this month's been crazy.
It has been. Yeah. It's November, man.
Yes, it definitely is. I know everybody else listening has probably said it a million times, but it's insane to think that this year is almost over.
Man. How was your Halloween?
It was fantastic. Had a couple of trick-or-treaters just from downstairs. I've told you about my downstairs neighbor. Recently moved here from out of the country, and his children had never done a traditional Halloween before. It's not part of the culture.
Yeah.
But I had explained it to them, and I specifically bought these big candy bars. And he said that he didn't feel safe bringing his kids around, but they would knock on my door on Halloween, and they certainly did. So
nice.
Love that. What about you? Did you guys have a good Halloween?
We did. We had a bunch of trick-or-treaters, and we give full-size candy bars, as we said in the Halloween special. And it was great. Yeah.
I love that. I shuddered every time I looked at the candy bowl. It made me think of that episode that we recorded the other day.
Yeah, I get it.
Oh, my God.
It's election day.
Oh, yeah, that was today. I almost forgot. I don't know how I forgot. Oh, wait, no. It's literally plastered on every podcast, radio show, and TV show and ad on YouTube. Yeah.
Did you vote?
No, I thought I would take the high ground. My vote doesn't. Of course I voted. Freaking course I voted.
Hey, you know what? I'm very proud of you.
Yeah.
Because you got your new license just in time, remember?
Yes.
And you showed me your new voter card.
I was so happy.
You're so official. And a new library card.
I got a new library card too. Yeah.
How old are you?
I am 29.
And when did you get your first library card?
29. Well, I guess you could say I had one when I was a little kid. Like in like 5th grade, they had us all go to the library in town and then get it. But yeah, I'm having a late stage. I know it's funny, 29 late stage, but I'm having like a late stage resurgence in reading again, which is something that was definitely not what I had planned for 2024. But I've been chewing through books again.
That's good.
And it literally, I got to give the librarian some credit. He has mastered the art of getting people to sign up for a library card. Did I tell you how I got mine?
No, not at all.
So before today, I wanted to go and scope out my polling place. I wanted to check and see what the parking was going to be like. And as I correctly assumed, I knew that it was going to be very busy. So I wanted to make sure if I needed to, I could walk to the polling place because it's really close to where I live, right? I walk in, I'm asking the librarian a couple of questions about how busy it's going to be, where is the polling going to be at. It's across the hall from the library. It's not in the library itself. And once he answered all my questions, he went, oh, by the way, do you have a library card? And I was like, no, man, I don't have a library card. And he goes, well, I mean, you should totally sign up for one. It's free. And then he went, technically, it's not free. It's like part of your taxes. You pay your taxes, right? I go,
You're entitled to one.
And he said, so if you don't get a library card, you're essentially paying for like a streaming service or a subscription that you never use. And I went, well, shit, man, give me an application, got a library card. So if anybody listening, if you're on the fence about getting a library card, just go ahead and do it. I just want to backtrack real quick and say something. You said you had a lot of trick-or-treaters this year, right?
Yep.
How did they even find your house if you guys didn't have an 18-foot skeleton outside?
I don't know. We really pushed that campaign.
We really did.
At Appalachian Horror Fest 2024 so hard.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Jared was going to pee his pants.
Well, and I will say, we let the people decide. You and I believe in democracy.
Yeah, we let the people decide. And I think Jack Greer said it best.
Yeah.
He can't really stop us.
I'm letting you guys know, if we can successfully continue this pressure campaign on Jared and the Bolden-Grears end up getting an 18-foot skeleton, that will be my magnum opus of my life up to this point.
So you all can make comments and go on our social media and convince Jared that I need this skeleton, because I do.
If you guys can create a pressure campaign to get us, now I'm saying us, because at a certain point it feels like my skeleton too for you guys. Man, I'll spend the night in an insane asylum that's haunted if we can do it. That's how confident I am that if we can get it to happen. But
okay. I'm going to hold you to that.
I should, Nick, edit that part out.
Don't edit that part out. Jacob and I had the honor of hosting Appalachian Horror Fest 2024 on Saturday, October 12th. We talked really briefly about it during our Halloween special, and we promised you guys that we would come back on and give you some more details, and that's what we're doing today. It's going to be pretty laid back.
Yeah, we kind of like glossed over it because we just had so many other things that we wanted to talk about that episode.
Candy.
Yes, but one thing I think as part of a listener, somebody that's been to festivals and stuff, I'm always wondering like how the behind the scenes and what the organizers were thinking. So I thought it'd be fun. I will say, I don't know if we brought this up in the previous episode, but we had kind of like a surprise guest show up right before the festival started. WBIR sent the cameraman out, and me and Ed we weren't running around with our hair on fire, but we were definitely moving with purpose, getting everything organized. And then this really tall gentleman, really tall, showed up with a camera, and then he goes, hey, do you have a moment to talk about Appalachian Horror Fest? And Ed is like in the process of juggling 3 different things, just stops immediately and goes, yeah, I've got time, and walks out to the front, delivers this bomb interview. Like,
well, thank you.
Ed was just, it's so funny how prepared Ed was in that moment when this dude just randomly showed up. I was like, we don't have time to do an interview. Maybe we could do one real quick. Ed was like, okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, stand right here. I'm going to get in front of the posters. It wasn't just WBIR either.
No, I did a couple interviews that morning, the day of the show, with WOKI and WIVK. Bill Thomas is absolutely phenomenal as a host, and it was my pleasure to be on his show that morning.
Yeah, and Cumulus Digital, which is their big branch, because they also own those 2 radio stations, and then WNML, the college flagship station for UT in Knoxville. They broadcasted it all over those 3 things, and they just randomly approached you about it. It was weird how much exposure and media we ended up getting organically.
Yeah. Well, with all that said, I think we're going to jump to the end first.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
It was my pleasure on behalf of Small Raven Media at the festival this year to make a big announcement.
Yes. We kind of teased it, too.
We kind of teased it. And here's that announcement, and this is big. We've already set the date for next year.
Yes.
Saturday, October 11th, 2025, Appalachian Horror Fest 2025. The big news is that we are moving the venue from Central Cinema, with Central Cinema's blessing.
Yes, no bad blood.
No bad blood. In fact, they're going to be part of next year. Out to Cedar Bluff, here in Knoxville, to the convention center or the conference center at Cedar Bluff Holiday Inn.
Mm-hmm.
We've rented the entire thing.
Yes.
We have 8,700 square feet.
Golly.
The showroom will hold 350 people. We will have space for vendors. We had fake vendors this past year. Well, not fake vendors. We had people who were trying to sell vendors spots when we didn't have vendor spots. We'll have a day-long program of shows, music. We have a hypnotist coming.
Oh.
Already got signed up. And then we'll have a day of family focused fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then that evening, starting again at 5:30 and going until 9:30, the Horror Fest storytelling show will happen. One of the things that I'm excited about for next year, though,
Mm-hmm.
is that the Ravens Vail Podcast, in conjunction with the Ravens Vail Cauldron Podcast, will be doing a podcast show all on its own.
Nice.
Yeah. So excited about that. I have to say, let's talk about the musicians first.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's do it.
We had 3 musicians or 3 groups. The first was Dark Mountain Orchid.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, that was just enchanting. The vibe was
Very
just amazing.
Set the tone for the entire festival. What a great act to open up everything.
Absolutely. It was dark. It was brooding.
It was sensual, too.
It was sensual.
Yeah.
Leslie Abney, the lead singer, brought it. She was on it. Her costuming, everything was just on point. I was lucky enough to talk to them after the show, and they made it very clear that they have to be a part of next year.
Oh,
So
yeah,
they'll be coming back next year.
of course. And that's going to make some people happy. I really enjoyed their set. I'd never actually listened to their music before, but I was getting to know the drummer pretty well.
Yep.
He was the first one to show up because he had his drum kit and everything. Also, for our listeners, if you watch the video, I don't know when it's going to be uploaded of the performance.
Should be really soon on our YouTube channel.
He had these like really cool decorative lanterns hanging off of his drum set. I loved it. I'd never listened to that type of music. It was this weird mixture of like Southern Gothic, kind of like country, but also
Appalachian and edgy.
Dude, it was just badass. And again, her costume, well, her outfit, I guess it wasn't a costume. Her outfit just was amazing. I loved it.
Our next musical group that night was 2 Greer boys.
Oh, they brought it down.
Yeah.
They brought down the house, man.
Jack Greer and Tommy Greer. It's a father-son duo.
Mhm.
Jack was with us last year.
Yes,
Tommy
he was.
joined him this year. And I just have to say this. Jared's grandfather and uncle, but they have become just this dynamic duo
Yes.
of music. And the music they brought was holiday, Halloween themed.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, Tommy's rendition of the Monster Mash.
Oh my God.
He did all of the voices and the accents. Was like, I can't even tell you how good it was. It was, you're going to have to watch the show.
Oh man. And he got the crowd involved. We were all singing along Monster Mash. And here's the thing, like I'm not related to them. I love them both. I know Jack better than I know Tommy, but I don't really have like a familial bias like some people might assume Ed does, even though I just think objectively they were fantastic,
They were.
even if you weren't related to them. But I can honestly say that out of the musical acts that we had, they were all amazing. They were probably my favorite just because of I believe and maybe I'm making a grandiose statement, I believed that what they were doing really, in an essence, captured what we wanted out of Appalachian Horror Fest.
Absolutely.
People were smiling. People were laughing. Tommy's got a fucking incredible voice.
Absolutely. He's just hilarious, too. The way he works the audience.
Oh, yeah. We were standing out, just real quick, don't smoke, kids, don't smoke cigarettes, but me and a couple of people during an intermission were standing outside smoking a cigarette, and Tommy.
Nasty.
Yeah, I know. Tommy was outside smoking a cigarette, too. And while I'm smoking a cigarette, I go, should you really be smoking? Don't you have to perform later and sing? And then he goes, should you be smoking? Don't you have to speak for the rest of the night? And I went, touche. We laughed about it.
The last musical performer was Cody Blackwell,
Oh, wow.
who was also back from last year. And by the way, 2 Greer boys and Cody have also agreed to come next year.
Thank God.
And those 2 will be part of the show, the storytelling show, but they're also going to have full concert sets throughout the day.
Well, they deserve it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cody's got that classic country music voice, too.
Yeah, and he comes out of hard rock.
Yeah,
like AC/DC.
He looks like a guy that would be part of like some sort of heavy metal band. He's got the beard, he's got the hair, but boy, does he have a golden country music voice.
His music was just phenomenal as well. I can't say enough about the music. The music was just on spot.
It definitely
was dead nuts.
Oh my God, I'm telling you, I think that the festival itself would have been fantastic with just the storytellers and performers that we had, but that music selection that we had really brought it to the next level. I think that was such a good pick. You handpicked most of the acts, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Crushed it, man. Crushed it. And I cannot wait to hear them again next year.
I'm going to talk about 3 of the storytellers.
Okay.
And I'll kind of tell about some relationships there too.
Go for it.
So the first storyteller that I'll talk about is Natalia Smith. She was our headliner last year. She's world class, master storyteller. She has traveled all over the world being trained as a storyteller.
It shows.
It does. And her installment this year, her performance was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
From the musical part of her performance all the way to how she told the story, there wasn't a sound in the theater. She was so captivating.
Yes.
And now I'm going to talk about Nate a little later, Nate Smith, and that's her father.
Yes.
Okay. We'll talk about him a little later. We also had Tiffany Weathers, who was a return storyteller, master storyteller out of Fountain in South Carolina. And Tiffany writes her own work. She's a horror writer. And she came and she told one of her original stories. And the interesting thing is that her story was different than Natalia's.
Yes.
The audience was oohing and ahhing and having feedback during hers. Here's that interesting relationship. Tiffany Weathers is the fiance of Cody Blackwell.
Really?
Yeah. And then third on our list today was R.F. Greer. Now, I know her by Nannon.
Yes.
Okay. And that's Jared's sister.
Yes.
Okay. And she is a published author, and she has been writing poetry for a long time. She was at last year's festival with some haunting, chilling poems.
They were fantastic.
This year was a story about death.
Yes.
Okay. The figure death. Okay. Or the Grim Reaper.
Yes.
Okay. And I sat back and I was just so proud. That's my sister-in-law. But I was so absolutely proud of how she has, as a master storyteller, she is just like emerged. Like she was phenomenal last year, but this year was like spectacular.
Really engrossing narrative. She sprinkled a little bit of comedy in there. I mean, it was just, the bee's knees.
Yep.
It really runs in that family, I guess. Hey there, listeners. Looking to enhance your well-being and melt away stress? Massage Remedy is your go-to for personalized massage services tailored to meet your unique healthcare needs. With 2 convenient locations, their skilled therapists are ready to provide a rejuvenating experience that promotes relaxation and healing. To schedule your massage session today, simply call 865-909-0990. That number again is 865-909-0990.
So, to continue on with our storytellers, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Nate Smith, which is Natalia's dad, as I said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
His style, he comes out of West Virginia, okay? And his style of storytelling is like your best friend telling you a story that is just so captivating, you don't want to miss a word of it.
Yeah, and it's delivered in a very, I would say, disarming style.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like your friend is just sitting across from you telling you the story, which I think highlights how much of a master storyteller he is, that he can talk to you in a large theater and it feels like he's sitting right there in front of you.
One-on-one with you, yeah. Now, this next storyteller, I have to say, there's a connection. I happen to be married to him. Jared was one of the storytellers, and Jared's style of storytelling uses a lot of alliteration, and he's a great actor.
Yes, he is.
And so he brings the characters to life, and he acts it out in front of you. And his story was very gory this year, and it was about vampires.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just amazed because the way he delivered it was not how I read it.
Really?
Like when I was reading his story the first time, it's not how I read it. His interpretation was so much better than what my brain worked out.
I loved his, like you said, he was acting it out. There were really, I would say, intense moments in the story where instead of just having it filled with dead space, he would purposely like breathe. As he was. I think he transformed into the character.
Well, that's just it. He's my husband, and while I was listening, I only saw the character.
Wow, yeah.
So that's how good it was. I love you, Jared. Our next storyteller was Lena Perkins. Now, you all may have heard Lena's name because Lena is one of the voice actors for the Ravens Vail podcast. She is the voice of Aunt Ruby B. Okay. And I have to say, she's perfectly typecast.
Oh, God, yeah.
She's perfectly typecast. This was her first venture into storytelling, and she brought her own story. She created, wrote, and brought it to life.
Mm-hmm.
It was a phenomenal story, and I was so proud of her.
I was too. She really got into it. I mean, the same way that she, I want to say, being part of the Ravens Vail podcast equipped her to deliver her own story. I think that she has a natural talent. Don't get me wrong.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
Again, the way that she would really kind of like get into the various story characters, like mannerisms and speech, and she was kind of moving around while she was telling the story. I thought it was fantastic.
Well, her rapport with the audience was really good.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Hey listeners, we're excited to give a big shout out to our incredible sponsor, Sabrina Schumacher's Dream Vacations. When you're planning your next getaway, make sure Dream Vacations is at the top of your mind. Sabrina Schumacher is known for her dedication to quality and trust, making every trip a seamless and memorable experience. Whether you're dreaming of a serene beach escape or a vibrant city tour, Dream Vacations has got you covered. You can find Dream Vacations at www.almostanywheretravel.com. Again, that's www.almostanywheretravel.com.
Now, our next storyteller, is a performer. She's a hypnotist, but she wrote this captivating story that she submitted. In fact, it's so good that we're going to be doing a live studio performance with voice actors and everything of the expanded story that she has. When she brought it to us, it was probably a 45-minute story, and she had to cut it down. But her name is Susan Gillum, and like I say, she's a both a therapeutic hypnotist, but she's also an entertainment hypnotist, and she goes all over the country doing shows.
Yes,
and she's recently got into storytelling. And this was her debut to the Appalachian Horror Fest stage. And I was overwhelmed by her stories and by her delivery. And more than that, I was overwhelmed by the audience's reaction, both while it was going on and then the comments that I got afterwards.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't mean this disparagingly or not, but, I knew what to expect from some of the reoccurring people. I didn't know what to expect with Susan. I knew that since she was selected for AHF 2024, that she obviously had to be good. Otherwise, we wouldn't have booked her. But she blew me away with her delivery, the way that she kind of like moved around a little bit to kind of like Lena, the way that she you could tell she's a performer at heart.
Yep.
Oh, dude, Ed, we forgot to talk about the most important person that was there performing that night. The marquee at the end.
The Ravens Vail players.
No, Ed Bolden-Grear. You delivered a fantastic rendition of your story, that original one, which for our listeners had something to do with like an interdimensional alien of sorts, which made it one of my more favorite stories that night.
It actually, the story is from a horrible dream I used to have as a child.
Really?
Yeah.
It was creepy as fuck. Your description of the being,
that's what I used to dream about from the bizarre mind. I want to say that I have never been so proud of our cast and crew of the Ravens Vail podcast.
Oh,
and
you guys
the world of Ravens Vail. We did a live show at Appalachian Horror Fest. We actually did an episode that was released a couple of days after the Horror Fest. So it was a world premiere of that episode. And I was just so proud. It just was so well done. And so like taking it out of the studio and putting it into a live audience, you just don't expect it to go as well as it did.
I know. And, having listened to episodes that were produced in the studio, it sounded like you guys were just in the studio, but you were in front of a live audience. It's like, man, you guys had like ice in your veins, cool, calm, and collected, got up there and did a fantastic job. And you were all wearing matching denim jackets.
We had our uniforms on. I'd say some of that has to do with the wonderful talent that we have on cast. But a lot of that also has to do with Nick Devan from Nicky D's Sound, because he makes us sound so good.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
You did a fantastic job, by the way.
Let's talk to Nick directly for a minute.
Hey, Nick, you knocked it out of the park.
You knocked it out of the park. We were so overwhelmed. It's really hard to make Jacob and I sound good.
I know, and you crushed it.
You did.
Man, the sound, we didn't have a single hiccup on any of the mics the entire night.
Yep. We were very fortunate to have him. He's so talented. Don't get the big head, Nick. I do want to just shout out to the Ravens Vail players by name.
Yeah.
We had Kristen Newby, who plays Sybil, the main character. Then there was Ed Bolden-Grear, my husband, who played Palmer for that night.
Yes.
And he also played his character Jude.
Which, by the way, fantastic Scottish accent.
He's very good at it.
It was really, really good. I didn't expect it.
Yeah.
And when he started doing it, I was like, oh shit, is that Jared?
Yeah. And then we had Lena Perkins, who played Aunt Ruby B.
Yep.
And then we had our newest cast member, the love of our lives, V. Williams.
And she was so nervous at first, but when she got up there, she did such a fantastic job. I mean, I made a comment to her afterwards because she was so nervous the whole night. I even had to buy her some popcorn to calm her down. And then when you guys got off the stage, I found her and I said, you were nervous for nothing. That was wonderful.
She's our new character, Vandenberg. Well, she's going to play a couple of different characters, but she plays a haughty-taughty, snobby witch.
I loved it when she was delivering some stank with her line. She was like moving her head around and shit like that. It was so funny.
She's got the attitude.
But then we also had the Grand Poobah, the narrator.
The narrator, Lucius.
Yes. And you did a fantastic job too.
Thank you. My job's easy. I just tell the story.
Hey there, listeners. We wanted to give a huge shout out to Monterey Mexican Restaurant at 105 Cedar Lane in North Knoxville. For over 28 years, they've been serving up mouth-watering, spicy fajitas, refreshing margaritas, and a warm, welcoming atmosphere. Whether you're a regular or a first-time visitor, you're in for an unforgettable dining experience with their exceptional food and friendly service. Thank you, Monterey Mexican Restaurant, for being a beloved staple in our community.
So, Jacob.
What's up?
You ready for a would you rather question?
Kind of dumb questions, that. Come on.
Okay, this one's kind of different.
Okay.
Would you rather be able to control fire or control water?
Are we talking like Avatar?
Airbender.
Yeah. Okay. I want to say this is a tough question because at first I wanted to be like, where would I have access to fire? But I light a lot of candles in my house and I always have a lighter on me. So I guess I could like whip it out. But then I also
whip it out.
I just whip it out, whatever. But I also carry on my giant water bottle everywhere. That's basically like a half gallon of water I could use at any given point. I feel, you know what? I choose controlling water so the next time paper mill floods, I can divert it away from our building.
You know, I had the same thought. All the disasters that we had at the 1st of October, end of September, if you were controlling water, you could have like just pushed back.
Yeah, I could have been.
There was a lot of devastation that happened and is still going on.
Man, and then if I did that, then I could like probably no, I'm not gonna make that joke. I was gonna say something about starting a cult, but let's back up. But yeah, that would have been. I'm gonna go with controlling water for sure. If I was still living in California, it would be fire for obvious reasons.
I got you.
All right, I got one for you.
Okay.
Would you rather live in a world with no music or a world with no books?
Oh my God.
And I mean no music. Nobody can even sing happy birthday to you. And when I say no books, that means any media like movies and TV shows that spawn out of books.
So here's the thing. That question almost makes me cry.
I know. It's a very dreary world.
Because I don't think there's a day in my life that's gone by that I haven't listened to music.
Really?
Yeah. Jared and I are big music fans.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what my life would be like without books.
Yeah. It'd be a lot harder to run a college, probably.
It'd be a lot harder on every level. I can't make this decision.
It'd have to be a coin flip, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, can I offer a solution?
Yeah.
If you choose no music, I make the argument that some songs are written like poetry. You could still read them in a book.
I could, but then again, I couldn't watch movies because they all have music in them.
So no books?
No.
It sounds like you're saying no books.
I'm saying no decision.
No decision.
I'm refusing to make a decision.
Would you rather? Okay, if you don't make a decision, you don't get either.
I'm taking both.
Okay.
That's my decision. I'm taking both.
All right.
I guess if I had to, no, I can't. I can't even say those words, Jacob. You're a bastard.
That's fair. Hey, since you already hate me, you ready for a dad joke?
I don't hate you, but yeah, I guess.
Well, actually, it's a bit of a statement. So the other day, I recently ran an ultra marathon in northern Sweden. I realized that it had gone way off course as I crossed the finish line. FINNISH. The finish line. I actually cracked up about this one for a little bit. Thank you, Starlo.
If you hadn't have spelled that, I wouldn't have gotten it.
It took me a second. When I first heard it, I was like, hold on a second. So thank you, Starlo. That was a really good one. Keep those up.
All right, family. Let's dip down into the cauldron and see what the brew has in store for us today. We just have one item in the brew today. This one is entitled Big Mystery Afoot. This comes to us from #WaterHorse. A few weeks ago, a paddling group we were part of headed out west, aimed for Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming. When the budget rental car broke down, the replacement was a Pacific hybrid, and we managed to catch up to the group on time. No other incidents, and paddling the new, to us, river was a treat. When we got to Idaho, we camped at a small Forest Service campground with around 7 campsites on a steep loop. Beautiful dense forests on a steep hillside with a thundering river down below and across the highway. It was a lovely spot. We had 3 vehicles in the parking area above the fire ring and tent sites, and a second site across the way. Picture it. 2 tents back off in the ponderosa pines and brush across from the fire ring. The vehicles were just up the hill from the fire ring, maybe 10 to 15 feet away. Late the second night, I was awakened in our tent, and I got up to a blinding dense fog. And surprisingly, the first thing I saw through the fog uphill from the tent was the headlights of our car, pointing eerily at the tent. It took a few seconds for me to realize what exactly I was seeing. I was motionless, looking at the lights. Then they went off. I heard nothing. Then they came back on. The only thing visible were these lights through the deep fog. This from a car with all the doors locked. The lights eventually faded back to darkness. There was no way I was checking on the car. In the morning, there was nothing to find. No handprints, no footprints. To activate the headlights required a button in the handle to be pushed or squeezed. Bigfoot? You be the judge. So what do you think, Jacob?
I mean, clearly it was aliens. I think anybody would know that that's probably what it'd be. No, I mean, here's for our Bigfoot fanatics out there. If you listen to our Bigfoot episode, it was really, really good. You can find it in our catalog. Here's like a prevailing theory that a lot of people in the cryptid community kind of have about Bigfoot. Now, is this the most generally accepted one? No, but it is a prevailing theory nonetheless. The idea is that what we know as Bigfoot is either some sort of interdimensional being or a wayward alien that's found its way here on our plane of existence or on the planet.
So you think there's just one Bigfoot?
I think that it's probably one Bigfoot, but the idea that a singular being, when you're talking about interdimensional, that it could only manifest itself in one physical form, that makes sense to us on this plane, but I think that maybe it could be multiple different ones. I don't know. But what I do know is that interdimensional beings and aliens, as they're described, kind of have this weird sort of electromagnetic field around them, which makes it very difficult to get very clear, concise videos or pictures of the Sasquatch or Bigfoot. So I think that if it was Bigfoot kind of moving around your car, maybe the electromagnetic field around it was causing the lights to go on and off. And it doesn't actually have to physically touch the vehicle in order for it to have that effect, which is why you didn't find any footprints or fingerprints or smudges or anything. That would be my theory. What about you?
Well, my first thoughts were somebody's trying to break into the car, but then I thought about the area and there was probably nobody out there.
Yeah.
And
the alarm would have gone off.
And the alarm probably would have gone off. You're right. I'm going to say that I think that this is possible that it was a Bigfoot, a Sasquatch.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of whether it's an interdimensional being, a relic from the past, a alien, or just a species we don't see, in our day-to-day lives. So I think it's possible. I'm going to say that I think it was probably a Sasquatch or something like that. At least my mind wants to believe it.
Same.
You know?
I mean, maybe one of the campers made a wish on a shooting star for a friend.
Yeah.
Maybe that was it.
Maybe one of the other campers were up there and just didn't say anything, too.
I guess the skeptic part of my brain also has to say maybe somebody had it in their pocket or in their sleeping bag because they didn't want to lose it and they were rolling on top of it. But I don't know anybody that sleeps with rental car keys in their sleeping bag. So
Yeah, probably
I'm just
not.
going to go ahead and shoot that idea down. It had to be an alien. That's what I'm going to say, Water Horse. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah. Thank you, Water Horse, for submitting that. You all know how to get to the submission area for the brew. All you got to do is go onto our website at www.ravensvail.com and click on social media and scroll down to the brew.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a wrap for today, folks. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey. It's hard to believe, honestly, how quickly this season has flown by. We're beyond grateful for each and every one of you who have tuned in, shared, and supported us along the way. But don't go too far. Our next episode will be the season finale.
Woohoo!
I know. And we've got an amazing show lined up for you. Trust us, you don't want to miss it. So mark your calendars, set your reminders, and join us for a spectacular end to a fantastic season. See you then. So stay curious, stay spooky, and as always, keep the stories alive.
Now, family, you adults have a few chores to do. Go on over to ravensvail.com and see about doing your chores on social media. Follow us on all the social media platforms that we've made available just for you folks. Like, listen, subscribe, and follow wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you don't mind, please give us a good rating and a kind comment. You can find the Ravens Vail Cauldron Podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Just search for the Ravens Vail Cauldron Podcast and make sure you hit the follow button to stay up to date with our latest episodes.
And family, don't forget to tell your friends about us, won't you?
So until next time, family, see you soon.
The Ravens Vail Cauldron is a production of Small Raven Media. Today's episode was hosted by Ed Bolden-Grear with co-host Jacob Garner. Audio engineering and sound design by Nick Devan at Nicky D Sound. Copyrighted 2024, Small Raven Media. All rights reserved.